The Henry Ford Museum and Greenfield Village present Window to the Past, a program designed to bring living American history to you. Now here's Marion Corwell with today's story about American currency.
Hi. The first paper money in America dates from 1861, when the demand notes were issued. But paper money was actually used in America before that time. And to learn the story of money in America, the paper type, let's go out to the Henry Ford Museum and talk with Mr. Bill Diston, who's waiting for us now in Section E of the museum. Are you ready? Let's go! Nice to see you again, Mr. Diston.
Thank you, Marion. It's nice to be here.
I've been wondering if paper money has been used in America as long as coins.
No, it hasn't, Marion. As you know, the first coins were minted in 1652 in Massachusetts. But the first currency, or paper money, was issued in 1690, also in Massachusetts. Now, the first bill that we have in our collection is dated 1709, and it's issued by the state of New York.
Actually, then, just as the states did for the coins, they made paper money before the United States government began issuing it.
That's right, Marion. There was a shortage of metal, and in order to compete with trade and so on, they had to have some form of currency, so they decided upon the paper currency.
This doesn't look like our dollar bills of today, does it?
No, it doesn't. It's quite a bit different, Marion. You notice that they're all signed in longhand and numbered in longhand.
And this one was made in Massachusetts, you said?
No, this was New York State, in 1709.
One of the very early ones.
Yes, it was. The next bill is from the state of Rhode Island, dated 1746. And if you'll notice down in the right-hand corner, it has the seal of England, and that's because we were still under the rule of England at that time.
That's right. We were the American colonies under British rule.
That's right, Marion.
Then this money wasn't called as we would call our money, was it? It was sixpence or some other British denomination.
That's right. It was sixpence in the pence or shillings or pounds, whatever it happened to be. The next note is from the state of Massachusetts, or the colony of Massachusetts. And that is a man, he was a silversmith, an engraver, and many other things.
The United States government probably asked him to use his skill as an engraver to help with making money, or rather the state of Massachusetts.
The state of Massachusetts, that's right.
Still too early for the United States government, wasn't it?
And for his pay, he was allowed to keep a certain number of bills of a certain denomination. The next bill is from the colony or state of South Carolina. And you notice that all of the bills are different shapes and sizes and different designs on them. They're not any near alike at all.
Yes, this is sort of horizontal rather than the up and down or vertical type that we've seen before.
And the reverse of this bill is very interesting. They has a picture of a eagle, a large eagle, and a man underneath the eagle.
And that, of course, was symbolic, as all of the bills and coins have a symbol of some kind, which is representative of the state or later of the United States.
That's right. And the next note is from the state of Pennsylvania. And this note is very interesting in that it was printed by Ben Franklin, who was one of our famous statesmen.
I should say, and a famous printer, too.
Yes, he was. On the reverse of the note, I don't know if it'll show up or not, you can see printed by Ben Franklin in 1758.
And he probably had the same arrangement as Paul Revere. He kept some of the money for his services.
Yes, that's usually the way it worked. At the top, I don't know if you can read it or not, Marion, but death to counterfeit is at the top. So you see they had trouble with counterfeiting back in those days, too.
There was a code governing the counterfeiters, wasn't there?
Yes, that's right.
Usually the penalty was death.
Yes, it was.
A very serious offense even today.
And the next note is a counterfeit bill from the state of Massachusetts, dated 1713 and 14. And along with the note came this letter written by a Samuel Sewall.
And the letter says, "To the keeper of Her Majesty's jail in Boston, greeting. I herewith send you the body of Samuel Cook of Salem, who is a cooper, who stands charged with counterfeiting and printing of the 20-shilling bill of credit of this province, whom you are to take into your custody and him safely keep till he be discharged by due course of law. This is signed by the Justice of the Peace, Samuel Sewall, March 24, 1713, and that is an important document, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It goes right along with the bill.
I think it's very interesting, the wording of this.
Yes.
The body of. The man
Yes.
was actually alive.
Well, he was alive, that's right, but
And
they
no-
still called him that.
Uh-huh.
The next note is a little different issue. That is called a Continental Note, and that was issued by the Continental Congress to help finance the Revolutionary War.
And that came out then just around 1775, probably.
Around that time, yes.
Mhm.
The unfortunate part of these notes, Marion, in fact, of all the colonial notes, they didn't have the backing of gold or silver as our notes do today, and they were absolutely worthless. And from this note, we get the saying, not worth a continental.
Oh, uh-huh. Well, that's a very distinctive thing about the United States government, though. Ever since the demand notes were issued, the United States paper money has been backed by silver or gold, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. That's one of the unique things about our currency, Marion. Every bit that ever has been issued is still redeemable for its face value.
Mm-hmm. And that shows we have a very substantial government, doesn't it?
That's right. And in between the period of 1793 to 1861, we didn't have a United States currency as such, but the various states authorized the state banks to issue their own notes, and they were backed by the money on deposit or money due to banks from loans.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, though, a lot of the people couldn't repay their loans, and the banks folded or literally went broke. And from that, we derived the name broken bank notes.
Oh, I see.
This particular one was issued by the Detroit Bank in 1809 and is signed by a Mr. Woodward, after whom Woodward Avenue in Detroit was named.
Oh, well, that's most interesting, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And the next note is also a state bank note from Georgia. We're beginning to get the size and shape now of the United States note.
Mm-hmm.
It's very similar to the notes that were issued by the government.
I think it's very interesting that the United States government didn't start issuing until 1861, which is much later than I would have imagined.
Well, there really wasn't a call for currency as such, Marion. The coins in circulation took care of all the trade demands at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But with the start of the Civil War, the gold and silver and copper became very scarce due to the war effort, and for that reason, the United States government issued a series of fractional currency or postage currency notes. They were in various denominations of 3 to 50 cents. And the shield which you see on the screen was issued by the Treasury Department and sent to the different banks to detect counterfeit notes which might be in circulation.
Well, this would be very important to the banker then, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would.
He'd probably have this in his office along with a microscope of some kind or a magnifying glass.
That's right.
So that they could very carefully check on each of these bills. And some of them are very beautiful, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Yes.
Mm-hmm. I think all of the bills are most interesting to look at, and since I planned this visit out to see you today, I've been checking some of the bills that are in use now. And I think our friends would be interested in doing that, too.
I
learn
think so
a lot.
too, Marion. It would be very interesting. The first actual currency issued by the United States government was called the demand note. And it's very interesting in that it's the only note that does not have the Treasury seal or the signatures of the Treasury officials on the note. That they were countersigned by the employees of the department.
I see. And this is the very first one, which is printed at the Bureau of Printing and Engraving in Washington, D.C.
That's right. And they were issued in denominations of $5, $10, and $20.
And the money is still printed there, the paper money.
Yes,
so,
it is. It's still at the same place.
It'd be a wonderful thing for our friends to visit the Bureau of Printing and Engraving, wouldn't it, when they're in Washington?
Yes, it would. Very interesting. And in order to finance the war between the states, the Confederate states also had to have money, so they issued their own currency. And it was redeemable by the Confederate States of America. But of course, this money was not backed by metal, and it again became worthless, as many millions of dollars were printed and just actually flooded the country. And the next note is a legal tender note, and it's a little bit different from the first note that we saw in that it has the Treasury seal and is also signed by the two Treasury officials. Happen to be Mr. Chittenden and Spinner.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if you can see the seal. It's right in this corner,
Yes.
right next to the portrait.
And that's a very important thing to point out, Mr. Diston, because that seal makes this the official money, paper money of our government, meaning that it's backed by the government.
Yes, that's right, Marion. And all the money from now on, or all the currency rather, has been backed by gold or silver, and you can get that coin back at any time that you feel like it.
Uh-huh.
The next note is another legal tender note, a $1 note, has a portrait of Solomon Chase, who was one of the secretaries of the Treasury Department.
Uh-huh.
The design is very intricate, very fine engraving on the note.
Mm-hmm. And of course, these, just like the coins, are engraved and changed every so many years, probably, aren't they?
Yes, they are, Marion. In fact, the dollar bill has just been changed with a little motto added on the reverse of the bill, in God We Trust, has been placed on it.
And I understand that eventually, as soon as all the dies have been made down through the years, In God We Trust will be placed on all of the paper money.
Yes, well, as soon as they get the proper presses and machinery working.
As it has been placed on the coins for many years.
The next bill is also a legal tender note. It's a $5 note and has a pioneer family in the center. You see the woodsman with his wife and child in the background and a dog in the foreground. It has a portrait of Andrew Jackson. And the next two notes are silver certificates, meaning that $1, $2, whatever the denomination it happens to be, that a silver dollar has been placed in the Treasury Department covering this particular note.
I noticed that our modern silver dollars say silver, or not silver dollars, but regular dollar bills say silver certificate on the top.
That's right, they do, Marion.
Which means the same thing, and it's a good thing to know, isn't it?
Yes, well, it means
that they can be redeemed.
It means that a silver dollar has been placed in the Treasury Department. This particular note, it has a history instructing youth, and in the background is the Capitol and the Washington Monument and a portion of the Constitution. The next note is also the educational series.
Now, does that mean that the engraver especially wanted to put things on these bills which were educational?
Yes, yes, that was the idea of the note, Marion. It has signs presenting steam and electricity to commerce and finance. It shows the steam and electricity as young people, which and the commerce and finance as older people.
All these symbols, I think, are most interesting, which I've been engraved on the currency.
Yes. And the next note is another silver certificate of $5 and has a bust of General Grant. And on the reverse of the note, a little bit different than all the other notes in that it has 5 silver dollars on the back, showing that the note is redeemable in silver dollars.
And again, this has a green back, which is typical of our currency in America, isn't it?
Yes, it is, Marion. Practically all of the currency has been in green or black ink.
And that's why the little slang expression greenback has been associated with money.
Right.
Well, Mr. Diston, thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Marion. It's been nice to be here.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Currency from the collection of the Henry Ford Museum was shown by special permission today of the Chief of the United States Secret Service. We're very grateful to our Treasury Department, under which the Secret Service works, for allowing us to have this special glimpse into another part of our country's past. Bye-bye.
Window to the Past is a presentation of the Education Department of the Henry Ford Museum and Greenfield Village. Currency and certificates were shown today by special permission of the Chief, United States Secret Service, Treasury Department. Further reproduction in whole or in part is strictly prohibited.